A Chinese-Philippine standoff near a disputed atoll in the South China Sea entered its second day, April 11th. 8 Chinese fishing vessels were confronted the day prior by a Philippine warship, sparking a diplomatic row. While both the Philippine Foreign Secretary and China's ambassador to Manila met and expressed their commitment to a diplomatic solution, more ships are en route to the scene and the standoff continues. On April 8th, a Philippine maritime surveillance flight spotted the Chinese fishing vessels at anchor near the Scarborough Shoal. The Philippines' newest warship, a former U.S. Coast Guard cutter, was dispatched and arrived 2 days later. Upon inspection, the Philippine Navy reportedly found large amounts of illegal collected coral, giant clams, and live sharks on the first ship. The search was interrupted by the arrival of 2 Chinese maritime surveillance ships that positioned themselves between the Chinese fishing boats and the Philippine warship. But China has maintained that the boats were simply taking shelter from a storm. Fishing disputes are common in East Asia in general, and the South China Sea in particular. Sovereignty over much of the sea is disputed, and in this case, the Scarborough Shoal is claimed by not only the Philippines and China, but also Taiwan. In many cases, these are simply issues of illegal fishing. There's much money to be made off of the items purportedly in the Chinese vessel's hold. Also, it is difficult to seek shelter in the South China Sea without coming upon an island with disputed sovereignty. In other cases, hardline nationalists have been known to act aggressively without the prompting of their home governments. With the political sensitivity of disputed sovereignty, it is difficult for national governments to not act aggressively whenever one of these incidents flares up. Whereas elsewhere in the world, fishermen engage in illegal activity and might be fined or imprisoned, here the most mundane dispute or most clear-cut illegality can quickly take on much larger political significance. Moreover, this inherent degree of ambiguity and deniability has often been deliberately exploited at the behest of national governments or elements within those governments for political gain. But this is not just fishing rights. Issues of national sovereignty, rights to energy and mineral resources, and even strategic depth are often at stake. Here in the Scarborough case, it was the Philippine Navy that spotted and confronted Chinese fishing vessels. But even though Scarborough is also much closer to Philippine territory, Manila has more of a limited military capability to defend its claims through force. Therefore, it has long had the incentive to draw in American support to counter Chinese power in the region. Manila has been seeking a multilateral solution to the South China Sea question. China has remained adamant about bilateral solutions to such issues. Dealing with each interested party separately maximizes Chinese power in the equation. So long as Beijing can block meaningful multilateral discussion, other parties like the Philippines will often have an incentive to escalate in a way that increases the seriousness and urgency of the issue regionally and globally in order to draw in outside assistance and involvement.